Rugby on Off the Ball.
With Bank of Ireland, a proud sponsor of Connacht, Leinster, Munster and Ulster Rugby. Never stop competing.
You're welcome back. So Optimum Nutrition today unveiled a new partnership with the Irish Rugby Football Union, becoming the official performance nutrition partner of Irish Rugby. Through this strategic alliance, Optimum Nutrition will deliver nutritional support to all IRFU teams, including the national men's and women's squads. And I'm delighted to be joined by Optimum Nutrition Ambassador and Ireland Rugby player Erin King. Erin, how's it going?
Hi, how are you? Yeah, no, it's going well. How are you getting on?
All good. Happy belated birthday, I believe I think that's what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Very good.
22 yesterday.
Brilliant. How did you celebrate it?
Well, I was in rehabbing, which is very exciting. And then I went out for dinner with my family. So, yeah, nothing too crazy, but keeping the head down at the moment and focusing on the knee.
Is rehabbing an everyday thing?
Almost every day, yeah. One of the first videos I had said every day is a rehab day. So I learned that from early on in my process and my injury. So yeah, doing everything I can at the moment.
What does the rehab look like at this stage of the process?
I'm finally back running. So yeah, I'm back in a pair of rugby boots and out on pitch, which is really refreshing. It's really nice to be out of the gym because it's been 7 months now. So yeah, finally see myself being back playing, and yeah, everything's moving kind of ahead of schedule, which is really exciting, and I'm feeling really good. So yeah, I can't complain. Hopefully be back playing some Celtic Challenge games in February time, and then fully fit for Six Nations.
Amazing, because I remember you were in studio here with Jaron Cullen back in July detailing the extent of the injury. So since your last time on the show, in those 3 months, you've actually got back to running, getting back onto the pitch. That must just feel amazing to have made that step in the last little while.
Oh yeah, like a lot of people say when you're in rehab to celebrate the little wins, and that was definitely one that I really celebrated, and I couldn't quite believe it. After the first time I ran, I actually burst into tears because there was a couple of months when I was in that knee brace that I didn't think I'd ever run again. So yeah, it's been actually a really nice experience getting back onto pitch, and yeah, the fact that everything's moving so well and my knee's feeling good is really positive.
I can imagine that's like the least I'd expect from anybody who's a professional athlete to react like. If any normal person was in doubt about actually being able to run again, it would be a real release of emotion for them to actually get back to do it. But this is your life, you know, so I can imagine that must have been an incredible moment.
Yeah, it was amazing. And yeah, I think when I first was running, I was kind of just thinking about everything and how all the support I've had in the last few months, and how kind of life-changing this whole experience has been, and how I have this new perspective on life, and just how lucky I am to have all the support I have, and all the teammates and the friends and the family that I have.
We were chatting to Chloe Singleton on the show on Monday, who's one of the Athlone Town footballers, and she just made her comeback at the weekend. She's come off the bench in the last two games. They've won the double this year in women's football, and she made the point that her horrific injury, she's actually thankful for it at this point. She didn't play for over 400 days. Obviously horrendous, and quite like yourself, it was a bit of a freak injury. It was just her foot planting in the ground, and all of a sudden she's out for a long, long time. Have you got to a similar stage? Because I thought that was a really striking thing for her to say, that she was thankful for this seemingly horrible thing to happen to her. Do you relate to that?
Yeah, I definitely relate to that. I think I'm going to look back probably in a few years and be really, really thankful for it. Obviously, there's days that I'm like, why me and stuff like that. But, you know, I've done things that I would have never done if I wasn't injured, and I've gotten to work on myself and gotten a new perspective on life, and you know, it's really put things into perspective, and how lucky I am to wear that green jersey. And not that I ever took it for granted before, but I'll never ever take it for granted, and I'm doing everything in my power to get back to the position that I was in when I did get injured, and you know, if not be better, and I'm trying to be better than I was before. And yeah, I've definitely learned new skills on and off the pitch that I'm going to bring into my game. And yeah, I am really thankful for this, you know, experience. It's not one that maybe I was thankful for at the beginning, but I've kind of learned to love the process, and yeah, hopefully get back.
I guess in many ways you have no choice but to love the process. Otherwise you wouldn't be back running on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can sit there and, be miserable about it and be sad and, kind of think, why me? But that's not going to do anything. That's not going to get you back on the pitch. Being positive, half of it is your mindset and how you approach your rehab. And if you approach it, with everything you've got, then I think that, it's kind of like karma. What you give is what you'll get. And if I give everything, then hopefully that's what I'll get back.
I remember when you first had your surgery that you put up a great Instagram post of like the people that were surrounding you and all your teammates coming in to support you in the hospital and in your life outside of the hospital immediately afterwards. I presume mental resilience when you're doing solo rehab is also a collective thing. You need to lean on your teammates or whoever else is helping you, just like mental resilience is developed in a dressing room when you're fit and firing in a team.
Yeah, I think to something that I have learned is my mental resilience. I remember before I got injured, I'd never gotten an injury before in my whole time playing, and I was always like, I could never ever do what they're doing. I don't think I could ever do that, and the fact that I'm doing it now really surprises me. And I'm honestly mentally stronger than I thought I was, and yeah, I wouldn't have gotten through them first couple of weeks, months without my teammates. In the photos, they were all around me. They were constantly supporting me. When they were over at the World Cup, they were texting me nonstop, even though they had their own World Cup to focus on. They were still chatting to me and, wanted to know how I was getting on, which meant a lot and kept us really included, me and Dorothy Wall. We presented the girls their jerseys actually for the quarterfinal, which was really, really nice. And to be that involved in the squad and to be asked to do something that's such a great honour meant a lot to me and will forever be one of the biggest days of my career, getting to do that for the girls.
Did you go to many of the games or was it just that quarterfinal?
I went to the Spain game as well. So
Right.
I went to two of the games, which was great. It was lovely to see the girls. And when I went to the games, I got to stay in the team hotel and be a part of the team, which was really nice. And the coach and staff were great as well.
When you're in the team hotel like that, and obviously you have the specific role before the quarterfinal of presenting the jersey, how aware are you of what you can actually contribute there or what you can actually do or are unable to do in those moments? It must be an interesting one where you're such a central point of the team when you're fit, and yet in that moment, particularly for the Spain game, there's not a whole pile you can actually do.
Yeah, no, it is a really weird one, and it's been, a roller coaster of emotions because, it's my best friends playing out there. We're such a close-knit team, and you can see that, like, our culture is brilliant, and I was so happy for the girls, and it was this absolute amazing World Cup, and it was amazing to watch. But yeah, obviously it was still, a bit selfishly really tough at times because, I wanted to be out there, and I would have done anything to be out there. But yeah, it was amazing to get to watch them and be so involved in the team and see how well they went. And it only made me more eager to get back and more excited to be back and want to fight to be back on that team.
For the regular spectator, there was a lot of emotions watching that France game. There was the sense of what this team can go on to achieve over the next 4 years when yourself and Dorothy are thrown back into the team and a fully fit Aoife Wafer is available for a full tournament, and the general grassroots aspect that seems to be trending in the right direction. There's a real sense of excitement, I think, after the tournament, but there's also a real sense of frustration in the moment watching that game and how close Ireland came, and a real sense of disgust, I'd imagine, with not actually being able to get over the line on that afternoon. I can only imagine the complicated feelings were tenfold for you.
Yeah, that game was very intense. It was so stressful to watch. I can't even imagine what it would have been like to play. But it's so, we lost and, the scoreline wasn't what we wanted it to be. But at the end of the day, like, to get that close to one of the best teams in the world and to get that close to a World Cup semi-final is so exciting. And, like, there's so much more that this team has, like you mentioned, and we're only getting better and better. There's 39 contracted women's players in Ireland now, and a lot of them are younger girls that the world hasn't even seen yet, and they're getting to train week in, week out, day in, day out, and get better and better. And yeah, I think it's just an upwards trajectory, and it's so exciting. And I can't wait to, have to compete to get back into that squad, because there's so much competition, and that's what you want, and it's healthy competition, and we're just making each other better and better. And I think the Six Nations is going to be an exciting one, and the fact that we get to play in the Aviva and that we're playing in, Allianz Stadium, and the tickets are, selling, and yeah, the excitement is building for it. Hopefully, I know we'll put on performances that will be entertaining and will be worth coming to watch.
Yeah, like it was a really amazing World Cup, even if we take off the green tinted spectacles for a while. And there was just some brilliant individual performances. I know, like watching the Black Ferns trajectory, first of all, came at a cost to Ireland in the pool stage, but then seeing Canada put them to the sword in stunning fashion in the semi-final was one of the moments of the tournament, really. And then England being brilliant, England getting a full Twickenham for their home World Cup final. As much as we rightfully have to hate the English in a rugby sense, for the game as a whole, this was a massive leap forward.
Oh my God, yeah. Like, even just for women's sport in general, like, to be fair to England, they put on an amazing World Cup, and they sold tickets, to so many of the games. Like, so many of the stadiums were full and packed, and it was entertaining rugby to watch. Like you mentioned, that semi-final, the Canada Black Ferns semi-final, was probably one of the best games of rugby, men or women's, in a number of years. And I think, the games are just as exciting as the men. So why not, have put us in the stadiums to, fill, because people do want to come and watch us now. And there's, little girls now that say their favourite rugby players are women's rugby players, which is brilliant to see. And that's what we've always wanted. And at the end of the day, that is why we do it. And, the fact that you can be a women's rugby player in Ireland and be a professional women's rugby player in Ireland is amazing. And I think we're definitely up there with the top 4 teams in the world. And I can't wait to see how we get on at the Six Nations, because this green wave that we have building is only getting stronger and only getting bigger.
Yeah, it's really exciting. At the same time, I'm sure there are conversations happening with regards to how we can maximise the talent pool that we do have at our disposal. Like, what kind of comes to your mind immediately when you consider these points? Like, we often talk about maybe the lack of high quality games for our top quality players who are living and playing here in Ireland. It does feel, to me anyway, that if you want to get exposed at a top level more consistently, you still kind of need to maybe move on to an England. We still don't have the infrastructure here in terms of competitiveness between the teams. We have it occasionally for sure, but not on a week in, week out basis. So you get to the Six Nations, and maybe there's a danger that Ireland starts slowly in the Six Nations. Come the end of the Six Nations, the team is up to speed. But I think that might be something that needs to be addressed over the next World Cup cycle.
Yeah, definitely. I think, they've brought in the Celtic Challenge, which is a great idea, and that's what we're trying to get at with them 2 teams is, quality rugby week in, week out when we're playing in them teams. Maybe it's not at the standard that we'd like it to be yet. So obviously the Prem is where all the best players in the world play. So I can understand why people go over there, because yeah, like you said, you're getting great games week in, week out against the best players in the world. But at the same time, the player pool in Ireland is getting bigger. The talent pool is getting bigger. Obviously not as big as England's will never be as big as England's is. And that's just facts. But I do think it's moving in the right direction. And, maybe one day our provinces will become semi-professional, professional. I think that's where we're heading. And I think that's, once we get to that stage, I think we will be able to really compete with the likes of England.
Well, what is your plan in terms of a professional when you get back on the pitch? Because the injury happens right at the start of you really bursting onto the scene, essentially. So I'm sure you're probably thinking, what's my 2, 3, 5-year plan with regards to where I'm actually going to play my rugby. I'm sure that gets shelved when you need to literally get yourself back out on the pitch again. But have you considered your own roadmap and what you're going to take into account with regards to where you play your rugby?
At the moment, obviously, I'm really happy in Ireland, and I'm still learning loads, and they're rehabbing me. Obviously, then with the Lions coming up, I'd want to be playing my rugby wherever is going to, benefit me the most and make me into one of the best players in the world. So if that does mean I have to go to the Prem, so be it. I want to be up there with the best in the world and playing great quality games week in, week out. So, I'm still young. I'll keep my options open and see what I want to do. But at the moment, I am really happy here. Really enjoying my rugby here, and I want to get back in that green jersey at the moment.
And the other thing as well, Erin, that a lot of people have massive sympathy for is that this is a very short career that you have, and the brutal reality is you've now realised that in a very acute manner over the last couple of months, that you only have a finite amount of years as a professional rugby player. You've got to go get paid. So like if the IRFU or if you don't have a provincial structure here that matches the men's, I mean, there would be absolutely no blaming of any player who wants to go and actually make money in this short career that you all have as rugby players.
Yeah, I suppose that's a big aspect of the game. And we only have 10, 12 year long careers, and you do have to make your money. But for me personally, I just enjoy the sport, and I'm not really that money driven. Okay. To be honest, I know that's probably like a bit of a cop out, but I'm really just enjoying playing my rugby at the moment and focusing on me and being the best player I can be. And then maybe in a few years' time, I'll have to worry about the money side of it when I want to, buy a house or have kids and things like that. But for the time being, I'm just really focusing on, myself and the team and putting myself in the best place possible to put my hand up for a selection for the Six Nations.
Yeah, and look, listen, they're in the same place as far as I'm aware right now. The best players are getting paid the most money, and trying to improve yourself as a player is probably going to be good for the account. But hopefully it's something that we managed to create here in this country, a sort of indigenous setup. Like in the men's game, it's so rare. Like if you compare it to football, I mean, nobody who wants to make good money as a men's or women's footballer can really stay in this country if they're unbelievably talented. They have to go abroad. And it's quite amazing that we've managed to do it in men's rugby. So hopefully the women's game can follow suit.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, I do see why people, go to other countries or, go to other things because they want to make their money, and that, that's so fair.
You're not when Rugby 360 is showing their wares, and Ellie Kildon is saying I'm open to anything. Like it's I'm sure it's something that a lot of people in the women's game would be open to, because as I say, it's lagging behind the men's game. This is time for the women's game to catch up a little bit to ensure that R360 doesn't spread as much as the unions fear it might do.
Yeah, I know a lot of women have said that they're open to do it. I think it's a great thing. I think it's great. Women should be paid the same as men, or we should be paid for what we're doing, and I think it's a great opportunity if people want to do that, and if they're financially driven, that's, fair enough to them. Or, I understand if people are later in their careers and they want to change, or they want to obviously make a bit of money before they retire because they don't have long left. I can fully understand why you'd go for it. And it's great to see. It's a great initiative, I think. And it'll be interesting to see who goes, to be honest.
Can I ask you, just before I let you go, what does the next couple of weeks look like this side of Christmas? You talked about getting back onto the pitch, running. That was a big hurdle for you to get over. What are the next steps now that the mechanics all seem to be back in place?
Well, the next few weeks, hopefully get kind of integrated into a bit of team training, some warm-ups, kind of return to contact, get tackling again, and get my breakdown going again, and get back into the line-outs and things like that. And then January time I'll be back fully training, and then some Celtic Challenge games in February, March time. So I think things will start moving really quickly now, and the toughest parts of my rehab are over, and it's all just kind of exciting stuff, and kind of trying to get myself into the best shape possible. And I'm doing everything I can to be better than I was before, and hopefully be one of the best players in that Six Nations coming up.
And who are you training with when you're trying to get back into tackling and the line out?
I'll be training in centralised, we've got the 39 contracted players, and then with the Wolfhounds I'll probably be integrated into that as well. So a little bit of a mixture of both, and then back into camp then pre-Six Nations.
Amazing. It's been some journey, Erin, and very best of luck with what's next. It does seem like it's going swimmingly for you, but it seems like it's been quite the journey. Erin King, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.